All right, so Jack, can you just get a mic? Can I give him this? All right, so today, Jack, what specifically are you going to cover?
We are talking about being in compliance with TREC advertising rules so that we don't get fined and you don't get fined and everyone knows exactly where you work and what you do.
All right. Did we find a lot of cards that didn't make the grade?
So we did a random sample. Is that too loud? No. Okay,
It's too loud if you put them both together.
Fancy. All right, so we did a random sampling around the office, and about 10% of the cards were compliant.
10% were good. So that said, does anybody mind if we out your card? Does anybody? Well, hold on. Let me get the whole thing up. If your card is not compliant, is there anyone who's like? Card is one of the ones that Jack has. Will you be upset if we see your card? We're using it to help each other. If somebody's like, nah, I still don't want it. Raise your hand now. Cindy? All right. So everything is fair game. This is about helping one another. Because if one person gets fined, you get to up to 5. Hey, so we're going to share today. It's about learning. The group back here who doesn't even have cards yet, you've been with us now for a few months because we've been dealing with this. We want to get it right. Today's the day
we'll get it sorted.
Thank you, buddy.
Can I say something real quick too?
Yeah.
Before I jump into this, I wanted to say on this sign, a conversation I've had 3 times in the last week. Anytime I see an open house, and where I live, San Antonio, if I see one of my offices having an open house, I follow the directionals and I go and I see whoever's doing the open house, say hello. 3 times in the last 7 days, and I'm not exaggerating, the person came in and said, you know, I really love this house. However, I don't have 10% to put down, so I can't buy it. And they go, what are you talking about? You don't need 10% down. Well, that's what I thought I needed to have. Do you think it would help you to get more business for people that don't know as much about real estate as you do to have a big sign by your for sale sign that says financing available, gives them someone to call? This is invaluable. Please take advantage of it. It's really, really helpful. I just wanted to share that with you guys. Okay, so the exciting stuff. I'm expecting a lot of questions, and that is perfectly fine. Do not wait till the end. Let's just do it as we go through it. All right, what is an advertisement according to TREC? An advertisement is a written or oral statement or communication by or on behalf of a license holder which induces or attempts to induce a member of the public to use the services of the license holder or service provider.
Hey, Jack, real quick, we announced that we're recording this. You don't need to take pictures. We've got it recorded. Just want you to take a deep breath. The information is readily available to all of you after this is over. It might take a day.
All right, so who here has made a piece of, I'll call it propaganda, it can be whatever, business cards, door hangers, flyers, Facebook posts about a house? Have you ever done that with an intention other than, I hope someone calls me for real estate services? No. So when we think about it, every single thing that you do, even in your personal life for most of you at this point, and I've sold real estate for a while, I'm right there with you, it's to attract consumers. It's consumer facing. So anything that you have, anywhere that you post, anything that you have going on social media or in your life that is consumer facing and is intended to bring in clients is an advertisement. That means if you're throwing up open house flyers on your Facebook, whether it's your personal or business, you need your IABS, you need your TREC disclosure, notice to consumers. That's on your personal as well if you're using it in order to push real estate consumers your way. Just something to think about. If in doubt, please ask us because we'll be able to tell you, but 99.999% of the time, it's probably consumer facing. It's probably going to be considered an advertisement. Does anyone have a question on whether or not something is an advertisement? Okay, because it is. Whatever the question is, it's an advertisement. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. So if you discuss real estate, transactions, business, look for consumers, I love working at Keller Williams, wouldn't you love to, work with an agent like me, whatever it may be, there's ways to pin notes, there's ways to put it in your photos where it's just kind of off in its own album. IABS, TREC disclosure. You want to make sure you have it.
So the certificate automatically sends out whatever you have it set up.
Exactly. Repeat the question.
Oh, absolutely. So is it like a drip campaign?
No, it's not a drip campaign, but we have it set up to where every, certain days of the week you can have it post the active listing for that are in a specific range, and it automatically does it for you.
Is it going to people that you already have a relationship with, communication with? Then I'm not worried about it. So the question would be, if you have an automated system that sends out, that pushes your listing, pushes prefabricated marketing materials, if you're doing a touch program, you're following the MREA, and you're saying, okay, every 33 days I'm touching this person, every month I'm doing this, every week I'm doing this. If you have people that you already have relationships with, you don't need to worry about putting the IABS and the TREC disclosure in every single communication if you already have that communication. However, if these are sending out to people that you don't have contact with, or that don't have a relationship with you, or if they're pushing out to people really outside of your SOI, they need those documents. So if you're pushing them from your personal Facebook page to just whoever it may be out in the consumer land, you want to make sure you have those documents on your personal Facebook page somewhere. Because what's going to happen is when a TREC complaint gets filed, because eventually on a long enough timeline, we all sell enough real estate to where a TREC complaint, you're going to deal with it in one way or another. Even if it's just because you hit a crazy. And on a long enough timeline, everyone hits a crazy. And they file a TREC complaint because because their lending didn't go through. And that's your fault somehow. That's still something you have to deal with. Well, once they file that TREC complaint, as bogus as it may be, they then go in and look at everything about you because they've already opened a file. And that's where most of our issues come from. Yes?
There's a link. Does a link suffice?
A link will not suffice in your Facebook. Now, if you're in your email signature, a link will be fine. But for your Facebook page, because photos are available and there's not really a bandwidth issue, I would recommend putting them up on your page. Even if you're just saving them in your photos in their own album, just say, TREC disclosures or IABS, that's a perfectly acceptable way to do it.
Twitter, Instagram?
In your, and again, I'm not as savvy, but to cover my bases, I'm assuming that you have some type of bio page or someplace like a homepage, landing page. If you have that, that's where you want to keep. The link would be fine there if you don't have the ability to just have photos readily available. If in doubt, put up the IABS and the consumer notice.
Where do you get the consumer notice?
On the TREC website. So that's something, Brenda, can you make a note and I'll follow up with everybody so they know where to find that? So we'll follow up and make sure everyone has the link. Maybe.
We can do it all at once.
Could be. Michael, is that something, can I get back to you on that? Because I don't even know how to do it. I had someone do it for me. This is Leverage 101. I do not know, I don't understand technology. It is magic to me. I don't know how it works. And so I leverage that out to other people that understand it. And I'm really comfortable with that.
You've got a video on that.
Oh, great.
Put it out there and follow on 1, 2, 3 and how you do it.
Maybe. I don't know that. It sounds like there's a video on Backagent that shows you how to do it, that walks you how to through it. So maybe, I don't know how to access Backagent, but...
What's magic?
Okay, so follow the magic. If you don't know how to follow the magic, then Garrett, who do we talk to? All right, talk to Garrett. Everyone email Garrett. He will love that. Yes, ma'am. All right. So if you're using a third party to push your materials out, you want to provide them with the documentation they need to send with it. No, your IBS is specific to you. Now, the TREC disclosure and the consumer notice, that is going to be the generic one, although they're not using it. Just to be fair.
Can we add one piece to that? That's a great question, Jimmy. Last week, I asked a company that does business cards specifically what the rules were. I'm like, can you send us what the rules are? It looks like TREC's enforcing this. The guy who's in charge of the cards said, do you have them? So I sent him TREC's rules. He does your business cards, but he didn't have the rules. It's being enforced, so let's not rely on other vendors to do this for us.
Please don't do that. We have Michael Lewis Marketing Suite here, right? Michael Lewis Marketing Suite is compliant. Almost every other outside vendor usually is not. I would encourage you guys, anytime you're going to order cards, you're going to do a new type of flyer, a new email push out, a big campaign, something along those lines. You're going to order for sale signs. Anything where you spend more than nothing. And even if you're spending nothing and you're sending it out to a bunch of people, ask somebody. You know who's really good about this? Marilyn, the best person in the world, way better than me. Marilyn is super compliant. She understands the rules, and as they change a lot faster than even I do, because she has updates that roll in by some magic I don't understand. And she knows what compliance is, and she's not going to let you get fined. Please send it to her for approval. That's one of the reasons she has a job. It's like I have my job to keep you guys out of legal issues. Marilyn is there for compliance and risk management. It is the worst feeling in the world when someone sends me a picture and says, hey, I just got my new advertising done. Our broker said that you should check it out. I look at their for sale signs, their car wrap, sometimes a billboard, everything they had done. And I'm like, man, that sucks. None of that is compliant or even close to it. I've had people spend upwards of $15,000 to redo their all their marketing because if you sell a lot of real estate, you're a target. If you're a target, other people are going to turn you in. And it's a $2,500 pop per infraction, which can get really, really expensive really fast if you have 38, 40 listings, which is what happened. So just be aware. Okie doke. All right, so what do we actually have to have on your advertising? We're going to go through a couple of breakdowns, and then we'll kind of tie up at the end on everything you have to have on your card or your advertising, email, whatever it may be. An advertisement must clearly and conspicuously contain the name of the broker, either a business entity or as an individual. So, who here knows what the name of your broker is? Who do you work for? Who do you not work for? Give me some examples. You do not work for Keller Williams Realty. You do not work for Keller Williams. You don't work for Keller Williams International. You don't work for Memorial. You work for Keller Williams Memorial. That's who holds your license. If you are a broker, you are still brokered by Keller Williams Memorial. You are not your own broker. Any questions? Yes. Energy Corridor is part of Keller Williams Memorial. You can use Energy Corridor because we have registered it as a DBA with TREC. As long as you have Keller Williams Energy Corridor or Keller Williams Memorial, both of those are acceptable. Energy Corridor only if you're actually in that office.
But if you have Keller Williams logo, and then on the back you have Keller Williams Memorial.
Let me see. Nope.
Look at that.
Nope. All right. The back is compliant, the front is not. If you have Keller Williams, it has to be Keller Williams Memorial. Anywhere that you, that's probably my jacket. Anywhere that you identify yourself or yourself as an agent or an agent broker, you have to have Keller Williams Memorial.
In fact, you'd have to have it on both sides of your card.
You should have it on both sides of your card. I know. Boo. Yes. You can do KW Memorial if it's the logo, but because the broker is not actually called KW Memorial, you need Keller Williams Memorial. Yeah. Now you know why nobody's in compliance.
I can see we're recording this. Let's keep it down.
Okay. Does anyone have any more questions on this incredibly popular topic that made everyone say bad? In the back first, and then I'll come up. Yes. If you have your name on both sides, wherever your name is, you have to have the broker. Yes. Oh, wait, actually, yes and then yes. Okay. Yes.
If your name is on it, so like this one, my name's in the front, Williams Memorial, and in the back.
That's fine. So I'm okay with that. As long as where your name is, your broker is clearly identified as Keller Williams Memorial. If on the back you just have the KW Memorial logo or you have the KW logo on the back, that's fine because you're not also identifying your name and yourself as a sales associate. And then, yes. Do you have it? All right.
Let's let him go through the material, and then he can go through the whether you're getting condemned or not.
I'm probably going to be up here and do a conga line all the way with everybody's cars here in a bit. So the quick answer is if you have a custom card, you have your website on the back. The answer, to almost every question I'm going to get for the rest of the day on this subject is, does it have your name on it? On that side, does it also say Keller Williams Memorial? If the answer is yes, it's compliant. If the answer is no, it's not compliant. Look, I'll go here and there.
The back of my card just has my first name as part of a little slogan.
Is it like a logo? Or,
Yeah.
all right, what we're going to do here.
So is that
Well, you have your broker identified, so you're fine.
Not on the front.
Not compliant.
Yeah.
Close.
Back.
The back is fine. You could do that, yes. And then I had a question over here from the dark. I don't know who it was.
Oh, it was just to reiterate what you're saying, so if the name is not.
Right, then that's fine. From what I can see with yours, KW, Keller Williams, as a logo on the back is perfectly fine, as long as where your name is, you identify who your broker is. We're probably going to do that soon, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, so your broker has to be at least 50% the same size as the largest contact information on your cards. So it keeps people, what really brought that about, where people would get their cars wrapped, and they would say, you know, the Hawthorne Real Estate Group, this, that, and the other, da-da-da, and then down on the bottom where there's always mud kicked on it, it says Keller Williams. So you guys have an incredible amount of brand power by rocking Keller Williams in Houston. There's really no reason to hide it. Nothing I've seen in here looks like you're trying to hide it. But I want to make sure you're just not getting fined. There are people out there that don't want to be associated with anyone because no one is better than them. And so they try to hide the fact that they're not their own broker. If you're going to do that, you know, that's up to you. Yeah.
So if you're not compliant, it's just kind of a
It is, my lawyer answer is that it is recommended that you get yourself into compliance as soon as possible so as to avoid any TREC fines or complaints. You know what? It's good. Well, so other realtors can be consumers. You're asking a family reunion, you're asking for referrals, I'm sure. So here's the thing. Are they going to turn, is a realtor in Minnesota going to turn you in? I don't know. That's a judgment call on your part. It's probably a lot easier to liquidate your cards to people at family reunion than it is to consumers, you know, in memorial. So.
So, like, if you, I'm brand new and I have 1,000 of these, I've been giving everybody I know. So
it's already done.
If I get a new one.
It gives you a great reason to contact all those people.
So I'm just door knocking. Yeah.
Sure.
I can't contact those people. What I'm saying is that now that I have a new one, if TREC contacts me, that's what they said.
So you fixed it.
I fixed it. It's done. I'm just like, sorry, I have a new one.
And you know what? I have a huge part of my job with TREC is being like, hey, that's my bad. I'm sorry. We went in and fixed that. Can you give us 30 days? We'll fix it. That's a big part of what I do for you guys, just to buy you a little time whenever something comes up. However, this is a great way to move into horrifying information, which is what I tend to only give, unfortunately, is talking with TAR and with TREC, they're actually going to start actively investigating and pursuing advertising problems. This is something they've actually never done before. TREC doesn't have the manpower. They've never actually looked at it. They've only piggybacked off of other complaints. They are now hiring people to actually go through Facebook, to drive through Houston, to drive through Corpus and San Antonio and Austin and say, that park bench isn't compliant, that billboard isn't compliant. They subsist off fines. Fines pay their bonuses. Fines pay their salaries. So fines for them are a great thing. Yes?
Wouldn't it be a good idea, you know, we have a marketing person who does design for a lot of agents.
Mm-hmm.
What does that person do on the tool?
Yes. Yes, it would. So that's something that we're working on, making sure. I know most of the third-party marketers, not really in Houston so much, to be totally honest. They don't really call me because they don't really care. But in San Antonio, a lot of the bigger advertising companies, they just shoot me an email. They say, hey, this person, you know, Joe Blow came in. They're an agent with the City View office. I want to make sure this is compliant. And they do it for them. That's phenomenal. Most people don't know to do that. Just like when you call TREC, depending on how you ask the question, you're going to get a very different answer every time you ask it, which is my favorite game, is how can I ask Marilyn a question, TREC a question, and Jack a question, and then one of them, what do I have to leave out in order to get the answer that I want to go forward? So TREC is the same way. If you call them and say, hey, I'm a broker, can I call my company this? The answer may be yes. But what you've left out is, well, I'm brokered by Keller Williams. So even though I am a broker, there are different requirements for your name than there would be if you were a solo broker. Of course.
If you are a licensed broker and you have an LLC,
Yep.
how do you, and you're doing the blank sheet, how do you combine both of them and be compliant?
Identify who your sponsoring broker is. That's how you're in compliance. So if you're a broker and you have a broker, like, do you want to give me the name of your LLC? All right. So if the name of your company is McClellan Broussard, is McClellan Broussard Realty Associates? Advisors. All right. Realty Advisors. So that name is, for TREC purposes, not compliant because it represents that you are in charge of the brokerage that you work for.
Right.
Now, if you have that with Keller Williams Memorial, that's going to fix it up for you.
Okay. So that's
Always identify Keller Williams Memorial as your actual sponsoring broker. You can do that at Keller Williams Memorial, powered by Keller Williams Memorial, with Keller Williams Memorial, as long as they know who your sponsoring broker is. There's a big difference between being a broker and being your own sponsoring broker, because it's who they can call when something goes wrong. Yeah. At least 50% the same size as the largest contact information. So if your phone number is this big, it's got to be at least 50% that size. If the largest contact info is small, 50% of that size. It doesn't give you a lot of benefit to try and minimize it, but some people want to do the bare minimum, so that's the requirement. All right, guys. Do I need to give notice that I am a realtor? An advertisement placed by a license holder must include a designation such as agent or broker, or identify the advertiser as a real estate agent. So a lot of people that I see that are not in compliance, they have, Jack Hawthorne, Keller Williams Memorial, ta-da, and that's, you infer the rest from there. You have to identify yourself as a realtor, as a broker, as a real estate sales associate, whatever you choose. The word realtor is okay as long as your broker is part of the National Association of Realtors, which we are, so we're fine.
what about real estate?
Real estate professional is a little bit vague. It's fine for the cards you have. In the future, I would recommend broker, realtor, real estate agent, something along those lines. Real estate professional can be a lot of different things. Real estate professional is actually kind of one of the things that I see, not that this is against your card, but it's the kind of title I see for people that aren't actually realtors that want to get involved with investing or something like that, and then you get kind of wiggly on what it actually is. So if you say, I'm a realtor, people know you're a realtor. If you say, I'm a real estate professional, yes. If your card says listing specialist, Tashara, you are not in compliance.
Realtor, how about listing specialist?
Perfect. Wonderful. Realtor dash, I specialize in pirates. Realtor dash, I only work buyers. Whatever it may be, that's fine as long as you have realtor, real estate, or broker. Can I advertise under this name? All right. A broker or salesperson may not place an advertisement that in any way, when this is kind of what we're hitting, implies that that person is the person responsible for the operation of the real estate brokerage business where they hang their license, or cause a member of the public to believe that a person not authorized to conduct real estate brokerage is personally engaged in real estate brokerage activities. So that comes back to the question we had earlier. If the gut reaction of someone is that person is in charge, when in fact your license is with Keller Williams Memorial, your name is not going to be compliant. So common names that are not compliant: Hawthorne Properties, Hawthorne Fine Homes, Hawthorne Luxury, whatever it may be. Now, how do you shore that up? With Keller Williams Memorial, powered by Keller Williams Memorial, as long as you identify the broker with it. It is best not to use those names because technically you have to do some wiggling with TREC, However, they are technically compliant as long as you put as part of the name, not as just part of the logo, as part of the name itself with Keller Williams Memorial or powered by Keller Memorial or at Keller Williams Memorial, whatever, you know. If it's actually part of the name, but that means that the name of your company is Cindy Bluestein, Keller Williams Memorial. It just reads kind of weird, but as long as you're fine with that, which no one really cares, is because it's just how you present it. So it can read super weird as long as it's in compliant. I don't care how it reads. Yes? Domain names are kind of fuzzy because just as an issue of scarcity, if you have, you know, Hawthorne Properties, Hawthorne Fine Homes, but then as soon as you go to that website and it says, you know, with Keller Williams Memorial, no question whatsoever who your broker is, you have your IABS, you have your consumer notice, you have everything that you need, I don't have an issue, TREC's not going to have an issue. All right, so if anyone has asked me a question on does this team name work, I have probably sent you this FAQ section from the TREC website. So, can you, I don't know if you guys can actually read it. So I'm just going to read it. I know it's a little bit boring, but this is the best example in the world. It's better than anything I'm going to tell you organically. So I want to use greatness where it is. I'm a sales agent, Sally White. I am sponsored by a broker, but want to use an assumed name for my advertisements. Can I use Sally Spectacular Properties or White Real Estate for my business name or my advertising? You can't use either company name because each implies that Sally, a sales agent, is in charge. An advertisement cannot in any way imply that a sales agent is the person responsible for the operation of a real estate brokerage. All right, I'm going to skip down because the rest of it's a little bit fluffy. Similarly, you can use the name Spectacular Properties if your broker sends written notice to the commission within 30 days to start using the name, because that doesn't imply that you are in charge. So what happens if you want to use, you know, Fabulous Houston Properties? That's fine, as long as you let us know so that we can put in an application with TREC so that they know that you're going to be working underneath that name. It's really not a big deal. Now, if it was, you know, White Fantastic Properties of Houston or anything that implies that you are in charge, then we have an issue. Yes?
So if you register your DBA with TREC,
Mm-hmm. If it's in compliance. So TREC, as a rule, whenever you file your DBA, they just say they have a gut reaction to it and put it away. That does not absolve you from sanctions down the road if they then decide it's not in compliance. Yeah, they can't lose, is kind of the way to look at it. So even if they approved it, them approving it is not proof that you didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, it's a great way to do things. So, but depending on the name, you're probably fine because they usually do kick them back. But I have seen them pass things through, and then 6-8 months, someone gets a TREC complaint, and they say, oh, and your name's not in compliance. Well, we filed that. Yeah, we don't care about that. You need to fix it. Which means you got to redo your branding. You got a bunch of issues. We can buy 60 to 90 days normally to get that stuff redone, but you're still coming out of pocket to fix it. Your business cards, flyers, website ads, Facebook posts, door hangers, mailers, etc. What do you actually have to have in order to be compliant? Your name or the name that you have registered with TREC. Your designation as it may apply. So real estate agent, realtor, broker. The name of your broker, a good contact number, and only truthful information. So the reason that this is important is we have people that share power dialers. This is one of the reasons it's important. They call and they just insert whoever's phone number gets in there first. Then they call 500 people over the course of an hour and a half with someone else's phone number. Well, those people get mad because everyone thinks they're on the do not call list. So whenever we get angry phone calls back, they say, well, I got a phone call from this number and it identified itself as being, Randy Johnson. Okay? Randy Johnson called this morning, but then it was this person, then it was this person, then it was this person. It's not a good contact number. They don't even know who they're calling back to yell at. All they know is that Keller Williams Memorial or City View or Heritage or whoever else I'm getting the complaint from, those people called me. They weren't supposed to call me, and I don't even know who it was that was calling me. I'm going to turn you into the Attorney General's office and everyone that will listen to me. And then we have to fight all those complaints. It's incredibly important for them to be able to call and get upset with you. Because if they get upset with you and they get that out of their system, you don't get a complaint filed. It's over. And that's as a rule. If they get that out of their system, or you can say, hey, you know what, I'm really sorry, you should call our attorney. Or you should call our broker. Or you should call somebody else. And that way we can talk them down and we get everybody out of trouble. That's kind of one of the reasons we're around. But the other reason for this is why would you do something that doesn't have good contact information? You are making all of your, I know it seems silly, but I'll go out and I'll see signs and I'm like, that person hasn't been at, you know, I saw the other day a sign, it was a Remax for sale sign that still had a Bradfield email address on it. They never changed it. Like, why? Why not just have good contact information? Why not change your stuff over? So this is what you actually have to have. As far as truthful information, I sold $50 million last year. Did you? If you did, cool. That's perfectly acceptable. If you didn't, that is a violation. And that actually is the Deceptive Trade Practices Act, which means that you have 3 times the fine amount, 3 times any type of litigation, because you are making a conscious effort to deceive people. So, only truthful information. So, a recap. What is your broker's name? It is not Keller Williams. It is not Memorial. It is not Michael Bossart. None of these people are your broker. Michael is the designated broker for Keller Williams Memorial. That's who is seen as like the licensed supervisor. However, your actual broker is the entity. It's actually Memorial Realty Ltd, DBA Keller Williams Memorial. What's my name? What is the name that you have on file with TREC? If you don't have a name on file with TREC, have you filed a DBA form? Have you filed DBA in every county where you sell real estate? And if you haven't done that, have you filed an LLC with the state to sell statewide? So, as you guys may or may not be aware, in order to sell real estate, you have to actually file a DBA form if you're working under any name other than your actual born name in every county where you sell real estate. So, you know, for me in Bexar County, if you're selling in Bexar, you're doing Kendall, you're doing Atascosa, you're doing Guadalupe, you're doing Comal. I don't know the counties around Houston that well. So we have Harris, but then you have everything that touches Harris County, you probably need to file a DBA. Yeah, it's a pain. Now, an alternative to that, you file an LLC with your name. We put that on file with TREC, and if you file an LLC, you are now on notice to every county in Texas. So that's a way easier way to do it. That costs a little bit more. It's $15 to file per county at each county, or an LLC costs you $300 to file for the statewide. Yes?
Right, because you can't file an LLC or the broker. If a broker owns 10% or more of the company.
So that is if you want that LLC to actually perform real estate services and pull commissions. What you can do is use it as notice of your name, and as a DBA, you're fine. Yeah. In order for what TREC gets upset about, and it's a good rule technically in practice, but it's a tremendous pain in the butt for realtors, is you can't form an entity and have that entity pay commissions directly in order to avoid the 15% self-employment tax, which is why most of us want to do it, so we can hire ourselves and save 50% of our taxes. You can't do that until that entity has a broker's license associated with it. In order for that to happen, then you're right, a broker has to have at least 10% interest in that company. Yes?
If there's an order placed like the business card through Michael Lewis Marketing Suite, and it is supposed to be compliant, but it turns out that it's not. What is the liability?
At that point, it's going to be a snowflake issue. We're going to have to deal with it as it pops up. I have not seen a Michael Lewis Marketing Suite card come through that wasn't. That's not to say it's never happened. It's just never been brought to my attention. So if it does, then we would call them and say, hey guys, we rely on you to be compliant. You need to reprint these. It's probably the direction we'd go. Mm-hmm. It was Memorial. So they're probably working off of the KW Memorial and the Keller Williams combined to show who your broker is. They're saying, well, obviously you find out you know who it is. Is it compliant? No, it's not. That's the simple answer. Is not compliant. Are you going to get fined for it? Probably not, because if TREC can say, well, we can kind of figure it out. They have a lot of grace. However, again, I have to come up and be, as sharp as I possibly can on this. Is it compliant? No. Are you going to get fined? What now? If you have the KW Memorial logo, you're not actually saying you're with Keller Williams Memorial. You just have a logo. I know that seems like a really silly distinction. It's one that we've had to argue, and it's one that we've won, but it is my job to tell you that technically you are not in compliance. Yes, and then yes.
What is your name? And if I'm asking
For a friend?
Yes, but if the name is not in English, and I think the answer is as long as it's not in English.
How is a name in a language? What do you mean?
Different things.
Like Jack and Joaquin?
Arabic.
But your name by itself?
Yes. No. The Keller Williams Memorial is there
Mm-hmm.
in English. The email, but your own name in different language. Is that okay?
I'm going to say it is. However, I would probably say shoot me an email so we can file a DBA with TREC, just because I'd rather it be done. It doesn't cost anything, so there's no reason really not to do it. You're fine. I mean, just like you don't have to file one if your name is Albert and you go by Al. If it's a common derivative, your name in a different language should be a common derivative. You should be fine. I've never had to deal with the issue before, but I always encourage, it's just like disclosing issues on a seller disclosure. When in doubt, disclose, disclose, disclose. When in doubt with TREC, be compliant. Go over and above.
How long until this document can go rush out? I mean, how long do we have for selling?
Use your best judgment. If you're not in compliant, if you are not in compliant, it is possible you could get fined today. Are you going to? I don't know. I know that they drove through Corpus the other day and fined a bunch of offices because their park benches were not compliant. And that wasn't someone that filed a complaint. That was just, let's just drive through Corpus and see how much money we can rake in. So if they do that in Houston, that's a lot of people. There's something to think. It's a judgment call on your part. Mm-hmm. Yes.
How can we verify that our DBA actually did get filed with TREC? I turned it in.
Yeah,
I don't know.
if you turned it in, you're fine. So TREC gives you absolutely no verification whatsoever that your DBA was accepted. They only let you know if it was rejected. And it also doesn't show up on the website. So it's just, you throw it out into the ethos, and if it doesn't come back, then it was accepted.
Does Keller Williams have DBA for Keller Williams Realty? Does Jack for the exact?
I don't believe we do. We probably can't DBA Keller Williams Realty because Keller Williams Realty is its own entity. Is he on this thing?
Yeah.
James, I don't know. I'll do this. I'll follow up and I'll let you guys know. We'll send out an email to let you know so that if you have Keller Williams Realty on your card, that way we can verify whether or not it's in compliance. I don't know if we have a DBA for Keller Williams Realty. My gut says we probably don't because Keller Williams Realty is an actual entity already, which means it would be difficult for us to file a DBA. If it's through TREC, we might be able to get around that. So I'll check. I don't know right now. Yes? Your cards can be any color you want.
So it brings up the sign, because mine are not 50% red, which I assume are.
Right, which is a Keller Williams policy and guideline issue.
So it's not a
TREC is not going to fine you for not having 50% red signs. You may get in trouble with Keller Williams. I don't know. So Keller Williams actually has a policy and guidelines manual that you guys all signed, or at least said you signed when you signed up. And I'm sure you all just have it on your nightstand ready to read it at any time. It does have a lot of requirements. For instance, who knew, does anyone in here know, what color your for sale sign frames have to be if you're a Keller Williams agent? Gray. How many gray frames have you seen? So that's the practical matter. It is what it is. I recommend you keep your signs 50% red just to stay in compliance with Keller Williams. However, if they're not, TREC's not going to fine you. It doesn't seem like anything's happened to this point. So just make a judgment call on your part. Yes? Sure. So TREC has specific requirements for your email signatures. You have to have your IABS and the consumer notice in your email. You're not allowed to have it buried in your signature. So the best default you can do is have it hosted somewhere, have a link that goes to it, and then do 2 or 3 spaces above your actual signature line, have it written right there, perfectly compliant. If you don't have that, you are not in compliance and they will fine you. Yes. Actually, yes and then yes.
Okay, so my name is Sherry with an S.
Mm-hmm.
Versus first I didn't get it. But since high school, it's Sherry with a C. So everyone on established it.
Right.
We did, here in the office, we did an alternate name change with TREC.
Mm-hmm.
Is it best to go in and do a DBA? Will that cover it?
If you did a name change on file with TREC, you're fine. Hmm?
How about tax?
Yes. Hold on. You can have a physical attachment. It's always preferable to have a physical attachment. I've been able to win an argument on having links in the email before. So up to you on how you want to do it. When in doubt, it's always better just to have them auto-attached. Not a bad idea, because then they just have them there handy. Because if they have problems with the internet, or they don't know how to work the link, or something happens, or your link goes down, or Google Docs is down for a day, then yeah, they may say, well, I wasn't able to access it. How are you going to prove that? So it's always better to have the document. What about text?
What about texting you with the signature?
Do you have a signature line in every text that you send? Then I'm not worried about it. So if you're texting with a client or someone who's going to be a client, you need to almost immediately send them an IABS and the consumer notice by email so that they have it, and then you can continue texting. So if you're just having a text, like say someone walks into your open house, here's my cell phone number, let me know if you have any other properties, on the market that I might be interested in. You say, okay, great, let me have your email real quick. I need to send you some documentation. Send it to them. You're good to text.
We can do an IBS, but I have not, IABS, but I haven't done the.
Consumer notice?
Yeah.
Send it to them.
Well, what if they say, why didn't you send it now, and then they get mad at it?
Forgot to send it. Our lawyer said we had to. Yeah, sorry, my bad. You don't even have to sign it. You just got to see it. All right. Okay, if in doubt, ask Michael, ask Tashara, ask Marilyn. So on that note, all right, no, the reason I say don't ask me, and I know it's kind of thinned out because it's going a little long, and I apologize for that. So much to Tashara's delight, the new policy that we have just to make sure that you guys get answers to your questions. I don't know if anyone's been noticing lately. I've been disappointed in my firm. Our response time has gotten longer. We're 24 hours, 36 hours, whatever it may be, because we have so many questions. A lot of them do not need to come to me, and you can get a 15-minute response from Tashara or Marilyn on a contract question, whereas it takes me a day and a half to get back to you, just because I get about 200 emails a day for questions, and then phone calls and phone call and phone call and phone call. So from this point forward, and we're going to send out an email to BombBomb, do the whole thing so everybody knows the policy. If you have a question, go to Tashara or Marilyn first, because that way you can guarantee that you get a faster response. If they don't know the answer, or they're saying, you know what, this is a Jack issue, please, at that point, they'll send you on to me. But what's happening is that people are waiting a day or two to get a response to a really basic contract question, or not even a basic, a more complex contract question, but one that you don't need to wait that long to get a response to. So, all right, guys, that's everything that I've got. Yes? Yes? I would recommend doing it just so we have it on our file. The reason we do is we download everything from KW, and whenever I reach out to you guys and something happens, most of the time the info is not good. But even if it is, we have a blank slate. We just start over. If you could text back with the email, that'd be great. So, thank you. Murad, yes. Hey, brother. Right? That sounds LLC as long as you have Keller Williams Memorial. Our energy corridor, yes. As long as you have that with it, you're fine.
Okay, and then I have a DBA for speaking property.
Right.
So I need to send that to you, send it to TREC?
Yes. If you haven't filed it before, then we want to send it. Yeah, we want to send it to TREC. And it's a super easy form.
Okay. Yeah, because I have the DBA.